them by the hand at this time. For those needing to pick up or purchase physical tickets, or if you need to pick up or purchase physical tickets, do so now at the ticket desk. We hope you enjoy your visit today. We want to see you
We're crossing over CSX lines, but originally that was the W&A. If you've heard the great locomotive chase where James Andrews and his raiders confiscate the wood-burning locomotive, the General, never making it across the Tennessee state line. And within a few years, it was removed from Macon and reinstalled in Cedartown, Georgia, just south of Rome, Georgia, Polk County. This turntable is about 80 feet long. It weighs about 80 tons and about 200 tons of steam locomotive. In the next few minutes, will be pulled onto the 80-ton turntable. So if you do your math correctly, let's go ahead and call it up of that bearing to be able to turn it by hand. And even when we're talking about a motorized table itself. This table was salvaged because it was delivered, again, as I said before, from Macon to Cedartown. All operations of the Central Georgia Railway are abandoned there, so too was the table. We acquire it and install here in the early 1980s. Let's get started talking about our 4501, ladies and gentlemen. The very first out of 182 282 MS Locomotives. Let's talk about the numbers. Anytime you read about or read the description of any steam locomotive, you're going to see numbers. A prefix of registry for historic places on a moving object. Does that give you an understanding how important this locomotive is? Number one out of 182, and the rest were scratched. Mikado in Japanese means emperor or ruler, because Japanese railroads were actually ordering this American class steam locomotive. They would send those over, disassemble, send those over via boat to the Pacific and Japan, reassemble those in Japan, and use those for getting pulling power and freight service. Well, ladies and gentlemen, during World War II, obviously, you had the Allied powers and the Axis powers. Japan being Axis powers, the United States being one of the Allied powers, a little bit of tension there. So some people would not refer to this at that point in time as the Mikado. They would refer to it as the MacArthur. 282, but we have our other steam locomotive over there, 280. You can see 440, 210, 484. All of those represent the wheel arrangement on a steam locomotive, simply referring to the wheel arrangement. Ladies and gentlemen, 4501, built by the Baldwin Locomotive Company in Philadelphia, delivered to the Southern Railway in 1911. Cost a little more than $25,000 to build. Now, large railroad corporations like the Southern started to, and once it becomes available, introducing diesel power into their fleets, dieselizing their with locomotive-wise, their fleets and their railroads. And steam locomotives, sometimes and occasionally, if it was not scrapped, perhaps it was sold secondhand to a smaller operating railroad, or short line operating railroad. Now, the Locomotive branch 4501 survives because it was in fact sold to the K&T, the Kentucky and Tennessee, a mining operating railroad up in between Stearns, Kentucky and the Tennessee area, the mining company in the mountains, for about $23,000 originally, bought for $8,000 in 1948, and then by the 1963 period, you have a situation where either smaller railroads are decolonizing their fleet, and this railroad was sold for $5,000 based on its value, and in fact, bought by one of the two founding members. In where the walkway is located, stay right there at the end of the tunnel. I'm going to take you over the walkway. Just going to give a round of applause for you.
Station.